In this video, I want to provide you with a demonstration on how to create an electrical plan in Legend. This is an example of an electrical plan, and this is an example of an electrical legend. For this demonstration, we will be using the Granny House rivet file. In this file, you will follow the steps I show you to create an electrical plan and an electrical legend. The steps that you will take to create this electrical plan and legend are the same steps that you can take to create an electrical plan and legend for any other project. Before we begin, you will need to download the Granny House rivet file from Schoology and save it to your OneDrive in your CEA folder. The Granny House rivet file can be found in the Granny House assignment located in the Lesson 2.3 Residential Design folder. Once you have downloaded the Granny House rivet file, you will need to open that file to begin. To begin making the electrical plan, we will first need to go to Floor. This is our floor plan. We need to make a copy of this floor plan. So we will right-click over Floor and then choose Duplicate View. Notice there are three options: Duplicate, Duplicate with Detailing, and Duplicate as a Dependent. These two will bring in more detail than what we need for an electrical plan, so we will just choose Duplicate. Notice that it creates a copy of the floor. We will rename this copy and call it Electrical Plan. Now we need to remove any item that does not belong on an electrical plan. For example, we have this section wall cutout here that we do not need. I call this the tail of this cutout, of this section view. So we will right click over this little tail of this cutout and choose Hide in View Elements. At this point, you will need to review your plan and see if there's any other item that needs to be hidden. If you chose Duplicate with Detailing, you would see dimensions and room names, and those are items that you would need to turn off for an electrical plan. Next, we need to verify that this house has a ceiling. If it does not have a ceiling, you will not be able to install lights in this file. Let's go to the 3D view and let's make the roof transparent so we can see inside of the structure. I'm going to right click on the roof and choose Override Graphics and View and choose by element. For the transparency, I want to set that as 60. I'm going to hit apply and then OK. Now I can see into the structure and see that there is a ceiling. I also want to make this transparent so I can see into the structure. I'm going to override the graphics and view by right-clicking on the ceiling, choose by element, and set transparency to 60. Now we have a ceiling. We verify that there is a ceiling, and now we're ready to apply the different electrical components. Before we begin applying lights and switches and outlets, let's go to the electrical plan and talk about how we're going to lay the lights out in this floor plan. First, anytime you begin to create an electrical plan, you need to plan ahead of time exactly where you want lights and where you want switches. It's best to print out a floor plan, a copy of your floor plan, so that you can sketch where you would like the lights and the switches and the outlets to go. Let's talk briefly where we would want to put the lights. I think there needs to be a light over this table, also a light in this general area for the living room. Probably the person would like to have a light or a fan over this bed. And then in the kitchen we can put lights or maybe even a fan. We would need a light in the utility room and of course a light in the bathroom. Next, once we have a general idea where we want to place lights, we need to decide where we want to put the switches to control those lights. So as you walk into a room, you never want to put switches behind the door. You want to put them where a person can reach inside the door and flip on or off a switch to control the light. So as you think about each room, imagine yourself walking into that room. You want to turn on the light in the living room. So where would you want that switch? Next, you want to be able to decide what other switches you want by that switch. So obviously we would want a switch to control the light that's going to be outside. We need to have a switch that control the light over the table. So if you walk into the house, you can flip on the switch and walk directly into the kitchen by seeing the light that is coming from the light that'll be over this table. And then you'll need to do the same thing with the kitchen. We obviously will want to switch just as you enter into the kitchen from the living room or dining area, but we'll also want to switch just as you enter the house from the kitchen. And then you'll need to think about how you want to control the light or fan in the bedroom and also in the bathroom and the utility room. Once you have a general plan for the lights and the switches, then you can think about where you want outlets. Obviously, we would want outlets near the nightstands for lights and for chargers. You might want another outlet somewhere on this wall in case somebody decides to put something in this location on the wall in the future. Probably in other areas throughout the house, around the TV. Obviously in the bathroom, we would need the GFCI outlet. In the kitchen, we would need some GFCI outlets and also probably some regular outlets along this wall. So you just need to really begin to think about where you want those types of items. And again, having a copy of your floor plan where you can begin sketching those types of things will really help you as you begin to create the floor plan. Now let's begin placing the lights. But before we place lights and outlets and the switches, I want you to take note of what is actually already installed in this file. If you scroll all the way down towards the bottom in your project browser, you're going to see a category called Families. If you'll open up Families and scroll down, you will see one called Electrical Equipment. Inside of electrical equipment, you'll notice that we have an electrical panel. We want to use that for sure, so we'll need to locate where we want to place that panel in just a moment. We also have electrical fixtures, which are the outlets and the switches. We have plenty of those already in this file, so we're good to go. Let's scroll down and look for lighting fixtures, and we see that we have a ceiling fan 52-inch remote control already installed in this file. We also have a ceiling light, which is a flat round light that will also be used. While I'm talking about this flat round light, it's important to realize that in an electrical plan, you can place these lights where you want them to go. It's not really all that important to really get detailed about the specific detail of the light itself. You really are just giving this plan to an electrician so they'll know where they need to run the wiring and where they need to run the wiring for the lights and the switches and the outlets. So we're going to use a generic flat round light for most of our lights. We will use a ceiling fan just to give someone a general idea of what we intend for a particular room when it comes to light and a ceiling fan. This wall pack light is the exterior light that will go on the exterior doors or by the exterior doors in the front and on the side. So now that we know what files or what electrical components we have already installed in this file, we're now ready to begin placing the lights. Now that you're ready to place lights and switches and outlets, I want to show you how Rivet works when it comes to placing lights. So we need to go obviously to component, and we would need to search and find the light that we want to use. We're going to use this ceiling light flat round, so you'll need to scroll through your list of components and look for ceiling light flat round. We're just going to use the 60 watt 120 volts. Again, this is just really more like a symbol. This is not what may get installed. So the electrician and the owner, the contractor will talk together and decide which light they actually want to install, and then they'll decide what kind of wiring needs to be run. So this is more of a schematic, but we're going to use this light. And notice that as I go to place a light over this table, it will not place it. The best place I found to install lights, at least your first light, is to go to roof. So we're going to double click on roof. And in this plan, we can see our furniture as we saw in the electrical plan. Now let's go to component. Again, make sure you have the right light chosen. And then we'll go and we'll place this first light somewhere just over this table where it looks like it's about centered. Now, once you have one placed, you can just hit escape, and then we will go back to the electrical plan, and you'll see that we can now see the light that we want to use. What I want to do from here is copy this one light. I'm going to go to copy. I'm going to make sure that multiple is chosen. And then I'm just going to come over here and choose this light. And then wherever I want this type of light to be placed, I can now just copy it wherever I'd like it to go. So I'm going to place one here. I'm going to place a couple lights here in the kitchen, just in this general area. I'm going to place a, in fact, we'll just put a fan over here in the living area over the bed. Well, I do want to put a couple lights here in the bathroom. So we'll put a light here. We'll put one kind of in the center. And then maybe we'll put one just over the sink itself. So now that I have those lights, I now can think about where I want to place the fans. So I'm going to go back to architecture. I'm going to go back to component. I'm going to scroll down or scroll through my list of components and look for the ceiling fan, which happens to be just above where the ceiling light is. So again, I'm going to try to place the ceiling fan, but you'll notice it will not let me place it in the electrical plan. But if I go back to roof and choose component, make sure I have the ceiling fan selected, now I can place the ceiling fan wherever I want it. And now while I have this ready to go, I can just come right over here and place a ceiling fan in this general area. Let's go back to electrical plan, and now you'll see that we have lights in the kitchen, one over the table here in the dining area. We have ceiling fans in the bedroom and the living area. We have a couple lights in the bathroom. Now we're ready to place the switches. So let's go into component, and we're going to scroll down to where we see our list of switches. And then what I like to do is use a single switch. So we have obviously different types of switches that we can use. So I'm just going to use a single switch. So first, let's talk about the switches that we need to have in order. So obviously, I think there needs to be a switch for the outdoor light that I have not placed yet. I'll do that in just a moment. So there needs to be a switch for the outdoor light. There also needs to be a switch for the dining, just over the dining table. Then there needs to be a switch for the living room. There needs to be a switch as you kind of go into the bedroom area. And then there needs to be one as you walk into the kitchen. There also needs to be a switch near the exterior door that leads outside from the kitchen area. So this switch will turn these two lights on, and we'll also make this a two-way switch or a three-way switch where we can turn this one on and it turns it on, and this one can turn it off. We'll also need to put a switch somewhere in this utility room. So we'll just put this on the left. And then we'll also put a switch just as you enter the bathroom, located right here. For the switch located over the sink, we'll just put a switch located somewhere in this general area. So when a person walks into the bathroom, they can turn on one light so they can use the restroom. But if they want to actually go to the sink, they can come over here and turn this light on separately. Obviously, a contractor can choose to do something entirely different than what we place. Again, this is just a schematic. So now that we have these switches in place, let's go back and place the exterior light. So we're going to go back to architecture, we're going to go to component, and we're going to scroll through and look for the exterior wall pack. I think it's under W, so we'll scroll down and look for wall pack light. We'll just use the 20-volt light. Again, it's just a symbol, and electricians can, and the contractor and the owner can decide that later. We're just going to place this light here. I also think there needs to be a light just on the outside of the house as someone's coming in this side door. So we'll place a light right here, which means we need to add a second switch here to control this light. Not only the lights inside the house, but the light on the outside. So let's go back to component, and let's use our drop down option to choose our component. Now you'll notice that we have a switch already chosen here, so we'll just choose switch, and this is obviously the dimmer switch, so I need to change the dimmer switch to a single switch, and then we will just place the switch here. Again, the contractor and the electrician, as they're installing this, will place these things in a little bit better location than what I have them. Again, an electrical plan is more like a schematic to just simply show where you want certain things to go. So now that we're ready to draw the wiring, we're going to go do that under annotate, and then we're going to use a detailed line. In this file, there should be a line that has already been placed in here called wiring. So actually it's called electrical wiring. We're going to choose that one. And instead of just drawing a line, we're going to use the arc right here, the 3-point arc. So the way that we do this, obviously I personally think the first switch needs to be the light going to the exterior. So we're just going to get in a general location, choose this switch, and we're going to choose where the endpoint goes, and then we're just going to complete that arc. So that light switch will control that light. Next, we're going to start another arc, and we're going to let this switch control this light. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this switch and allow it to control this fan. Again, these arcs are just to represent a schematic to show where you intend the switch, what switches you intend to control what lights. So we're going to go in here and we're going to start another arc. And we're going to let this switch control this light. And then we're going to allow this switch to control this light. And we will place it just like that. So here's where we're going to show how the switches inside this kitchen are going to work. So we'll just let this switch control this light. But also when they turn this light on, we also want this light, both lights to come on. So we're just going to draw a line kind of like the arc like that. So this switch will control this light and this light. We're going to then come over here to our switches for the outdoor light and in here. And we're just going to draw this one, and we're going to draw a little arc right here to connect these two together. And then we're going to do the same thing for this switch and then this light. So we're going to come over here and choose our final light, which will be this one. Actually, we have one more to do after this. And we will place a arc right here. And then we will choose this switch and choose this light and draw this arc. So now you see that we have all of our switches and lights now kind of wired up and connected together. So you can kind of go back through your own personal checklist. Let's just say we decided to put a light, which is what a customer will probably want. They'll probably want a light over here. So we could have placed one of these lights over here. We could have placed a fan in here. But again, this is just a schematic to get the conversation started with the owner, the contractor, and the electrician. So now we're ready to place the outlets. We're going to go into architecture. We're going to go to component, and we're going to scroll down and look for outlet. We're going to scroll up and look for the outlets. So we have, again, I treat outlets and switches the same. I like to let an electrician or a contractor clearly know how many switches and outlets we want in a particular area. So I'm just going to choose single. And so as I said, we'll put an outlet right here. Actually, let's change this to a double outlet if there is a double one. There is duplex. And we're just going to place, that means they're going to have two outlets in one location right here, what most people are typically used to seeing in a home. So we're going to place an outlet here. We're going to place an outlet here. As I said, I think a person would probably prefer to have an outlet just on this wall in case they decide to put something here in the future. Might be good to have an outlet just about here. Obviously, we will need an outlet for this television and maybe even here. So if somebody's vacuuming or they have some other sort of device that they need to plug up, they can plug it up right here. Maybe they'll have a table by this door, so they might want a outlet here for a lamp. Then we'll choose to put maybe an outlet here, so if someone again is doing some vacuuming, they can plug up here. So then we're going to come in and think about, let's talk about some specific rooms in general. So here we have a utility room. This is your hot water heater. We need power here. What I typically like to do, even though this is really kind of incorrect, I'm going to place an outlet here just so the electrician will know they need to run power for this hot water heater. There also needs to be a outlet for the washer and dryer, and so there is a special outlet for that. We're going to use, let's just see what's here. We're going to use this, the GFI one, for the anywhere there's going to be water. So we're just going to use this one here for now, just to kind of keep the ball rolling here. So we're going to use duplex, and we're just going to place one here and place one here to let them know. Obviously, again, electrician may do that a little bit different. But we're going to come in here, and obviously, if somebody is shaving or somebody needs to plug something up in their bathroom, they would want an outlet here. But this is where water exists. So we need to change this to a GFI outlet or GFCI outlet. And we're just going to place that outlet maybe here. In fact, because we have this, we don't want to block this up. Let's put the outlet right here. Then we need to go over to our kitchen. And usually people like to put electronic things on their countertop. So we're going to put a GFI outlet right here. So this is our refrigerator. And even though most people have water running to their refrigerator for ice, we are not going to put a GFI outlet here. We're going to go back and put just a regular double or duplex outlet right here. And you may say, well, why would you do that? Well, if you put the way a GFI outlet works, if water happens to exist near this outlet and trips this and causes this the whole system to break off, if that happens here, a person's going to have to pull this whole refrigerator out and push the button on that GFI outlet to have it reset. So anytime a GFI outlet trips, there is a button on that outlet that they will actually have to push to make sure it gets reset. So that's why we use a regular outlet here. By the way, I did not put an outlet here, but we'll put an outlet here. I believe this is just like a shelf or something, but we'll put one just in case someone wants to put something on the shelf that needs power. So now if you just kind of have a general look at this plan here, we have GFI outlets, we have regular outlets all throughout the house. Now we have placed all of our lights, all of our switches, and all of our outlets. And so now we're just ready to create a legend. To create a legend, you will need to go to View and choose Legends. And then choose Legend. We're going to call this Electrical Legend. And press OK. If you'll notice, our floor plan, our electrical plan, was at a quarter of an inch equals a foot, so therefore our legend needs to be at the same scale. When you scroll down now, you'll notice we're already in the electrical legend. This is its own place. It's actually, once you create a legend, it actually creates its own little category right here. So if you open that up, that is actually where we are working at. So if for some reason you click out of this, you can go back to it. So what we're going to do is go to Annotate, and we're going to go to Text. First of all, we're going to place a title. Right now we're under General Text, and we'll use that in just a moment, but we're going to use one called Sheet Titles, and we're just going to click, and we're going to call this Electrical Legend. So I like to highlight the titles and make them bold and then underline it, and then we're just going to place that there. So I'm going to hit Escape and just kind of look at what I have here. So I'm going to click on this and just kind of drag it up. And now the way that we do a legend is really quite simple. We just scroll back down to where I showed you earlier where the families were, and you're just simply going to pull these items out onto this legend. So let's start with the ceiling fan. So we're going to go to Lighting Fixtures, and we have a ceiling fan. So let's open that up. We're going to click on this ceiling fan and just drag it out into this space. And once you let go, the ceiling plan or the ceiling fan will appear. Next, we're going to go to Light, the flat round light. We're going to click on this 60-watt light, and we're just going to click and drag it out. And notice it'll kind of help you line up everything as you go. Next, we have the exterior wall light, so we're going to open that up and just click on this one, this 120-volt wall pack light exterior, and just pull it out. Notice that when it pulls out certain items, it's going to pull out a little piece of the wall to help somebody identify what that actually is. Next, we're going to scroll up, and we're going to find our switches and outlets, which are found under Electrical Fixtures. And first we're going to start with the duplex. That's really the next important thing. So we're going to choose single, and we'll just pull this out and we'll place it in this general area. Then we're going to use the GFI because we use that. So anytime you use one, you need to be able to put that on your legend. One outlet that we did not place, I'll need to go back and do that in just a moment, is an outlet range. That is for your stove. That is a special outlet. So we'll go and we'll place that in just a moment. And then we need to place a switch. So we're going to go to switch single, and we're just going to click on that, and we're going to place that in this general area. So now that we have everything laid out, we just simply need to add some text. So I'm going to hit escape and go to text, and just right here I'm going to click next to the fan, and I'm going to type ceiling fan. Notice again that I left it on the sheet title, so I need to change that. So let's click on this, and we'll choose sheet titles, and we'll choose general text. So next I'm going to go to text again, make sure it says general text, and then I'm just going to place it right next to here, and I'm going to call this one ceiling mounted light, and we'll place that there. Again, I can move these around a little bit later. Next I'm going to place the text next to the exterior light, and then here I'm going to click next to this one and call this duplex receptacle outlet. And here I'm going to call this one ground fault interrupter outlet. And then we're going to go ahead and name this one, which is the range outlet. And then we're going to place text right next to the switch and call this single switch. Now, once we have everything in place, we can kind of then slide things up to kind of make them a little bit more in line with the symbol that it is referring to. So if you take a good look at this, we now have our electrical legend made up. I'm going to slide the title over just a little bit to kind of get this more centered in the overall view here. So now I'm going to go back to the electrical plan, and again just kind of back check. Oh, we need to add that component there for the so it's asking me to save, so it's always best to save whenever it asks you to do that. But we're going to use this drop down option. We're going to look for the range outlet, and the stove I believe is about right here, so we're going to place that outlet right there. So now we have everything in place that we need, and now we're just ready to really just set up our sheets. Now let's set up our sheet for the electrical plan and the electrical legend. So let's scroll down to our sheets, and we already have everything already set up except for the electrical plan, and we're going to double click on the electrical plan. And we're just going to simply go scroll up, and we're going to find our electrical plan, and we're going to click on it and just drag it over, and we're going to place it right about here. We're going to see how that does. So that looks good. And notice that our sheet already has the scale, it already has a title, so we really don't need the title. We'll look at the other sheets and see what was done on the other sheets so we can be consistent. But we're going to try to add the legend. I don't think the legend is going to fit, so we're going to slide this over and see. Yeah, that's going to take up way too much real estate, so we're going to be able to center this view up. And so what we need to do is create a electrical or an E2 sheet. So we'll just come over here, right click, we'll say new sheet. We're going to choose this sheet, this CEA 8.5 by 11, and we're going to come over here and we're going to rename this one. We're going to call it E2, and we're going to call this electrical legend, and we'll click OK. Now it's going to place it in order, and now on this sheet we will take the electrical legend and just slide it over and place it just on the center of this sheet. So the electrical legend is done. Let's go and look at the floor plan and see. Yeah, so it placed a title there and the scale. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to hit Control C, and I'm going to go to the electrical plan and see if it'll let me do Control V. It does. So we will place that right about there, and then all you'll need to do is double click on this title and change floor to electrical, and let's capitalize the E here, and we'll just click on the outside, and then if we needed to move it around we could just by clicking on it and sliding it up. So now we have all our electrical plan sheet set up, our electrical legend, and now you're ready to create your PDFs. To make your PDFs, you could do this from any sheet that you're on. I think it's a good idea before you do your sheets, it's just to go to a plan that you're comfortable with. Let's just go back to the floor plan. We're going to hit save one final time, and then we're just going to go to the print option. If print is not here, you can go to file and then choose print. I always like to just choose this one. I'm going to choose my printer, or at least the PDF creator. Hopefully you have one called Microsoft Print to PDF, so we're going to choose that one. And then what we need to do is come down here. We have print range. We don't want to choose this. We want to choose selected views or sheets. So we're going to choose that, and then we're going to hit select. So for now, all you need to do is create a PDF of just the electrical plan and the legend. So I'm going to uncheck this and the A1 sheet, and I'm going to check E1 and E2 and click OK. We have selected two sheets. Right up here you'll notice it says create separate files. We do not want to create a separate PDF for each of those sheets, so we're going to do the option combine multiple sheets. Once you click OK, it's going to ask you where you want to save your PDF. I would choose your OneDrive and then choose your CEA folder. Give it a name, call it the Granny House Electrical Plan. Hit save, and then it will create your PDF, and that is what you need to submit to me and the Granny House assignment.